Hey, welcome back to my channel. I'm Joyce, and today I am doing the mid-year freakout tag or mid-year book tag, whatever you want to call it. I have lots of books here, 1 stack, 2 stack, 3 stack, and then we have lots more just images that I'm going to pop up because I don't have them physically. There are only 13 questions, which is a very good amount. I have read now 60 books so far this year. That is wild. I have already exceeded my goal, which was only 52. Anyway, I'm rambling. I'm not going to lie. I have read some bangers this year. I could easily answer a lot of these questions with about 5 to 6 different books, but I am not. I'm going to keep it as short and sweet and to the point as I can. But without further ado, let's get into the questions. Question number 1, the best book you've read so far in 2024. I don't think that anyone is surprised if you've been here for a while that book is That This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan. This was actually my first and still is my only 6-star read. I felt entirely seen. I love the realistic nor diverse representation. I love seeing a Black woman loved well. I loved the friendship groups. I loved the mom and the motherhood wisdom that was passed on. I absolutely love the way that they parent their children. I love the mental health representation. I love the male main character. There was nothing that I didn't like, clearly. So that is why this was my favorite book so far this year. I did run across a close second, and we will discuss that soon. But if you still have not picked this book up, I'm telling you, this is one of those books that all women should read. And especially if you have a child that has autism, you will definitely feel seen in this book. Absolutely love this book. If you like friendships, friend groups, healthy love, what more can I say? I absolutely love it. 5 stars, highly recommend. Best book I read so far of the year, hands down. Question number 2, the best sequel you've read so far in 2024. So I don't really get into a lot of sequels, but I have read at least 3 series this year. Yes, I believe so. But anyway, I do have 2 for this because they're completely different. They're not the same at all, and so it wasn't fair to just pick one. So I do have Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. This is the second book in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. If you like podcasts, you would really enjoy this book. I really enjoyed the little plot twist. She's trying her best to stay out of the way, but another situation occurs and she feels like the police are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So she has to step in and do what she does best. This was such a good, fun little YA series. I would highly recommend this for my children or their friends or anybody who just likes a true crime vibe, but not so graphic and intense as like adult true crimes. I thought they did a good job with it. It wasn't the most exciting. I did not love it as much as the first one, but it was still very well done, and it was a great setup and segue to the third book. So absolutely love that. The second one, Us Against You by Frederick Bachman. Same with this one. I didn't love it as much as I loved the first book. Beartown, now that I'm thinking about it, that also had to be one of the best books that I've read so far this year. It was just so good. Frederick did his thing with that book, but he also did his thing in this book. It was very slow. In this one, we get to see the aftermath of the trauma that occurred in the first book. How are they navigating healing? How did it affect the team? How did it affect that individual and his family? How did it affect the victim? It's just so good to see the aftermath unfolds, how it affects the town. And then he has the audacity to throw in this massive plot twist that I was just like, oh no, I knew this was gonna come, but I didn't know it was gonna come like this. So there's something that is revealed about one of our favorite characters, well, at least one of mine, and it is just so sad to see how this unfolds and how we're gonna navigate this. And I cannot wait to get to the third book. If you read the first one and you have not got to the second one, I encourage you to read it. If you have not read the Beartown series, please read it. It is so good so far. Can't speak to the third book yet, but I just feel like Frederick is gonna do his thing again, and the entire series is gonna be a banger. The next question is a new release you haven't read yet, but that you want to. So I have 2. As far as thrillers, this thriller I have to read. Like there's a few that I like have to read, but this one it's like the summer will not end and I have not read this book. And it is The Housemaid is Watching by Frida McFadden. This is the last book in the Housemaid series, and I cannot wait. Millie was so irritating to me in that first book, but I ended up falling in love with her. Because it's the third book, I know I'm not gonna love it as much as the other ones. I hope so, but if not, it's fine. I'm gonna read it because I just need to see what's gonna happen with Millie. I just need to see. I still haven't even read the back of the book. I just knew it was coming out. I bought it, and that's more than enough for me. So I hope to finish this one sometime in July because it's definitely time. The next one in the romance category is summer romance. I'm actually in the middle of reading this. I am only on page 26. I already love it. I have whipped out my highlighters and my pens. I'm going back and I'm gonna annotate. It's already my jam. Her writing style is so comforting. It's so familiar to me, and I think it's because her main characters are a little bit older. They're mothers. They were married and now they're navigating divorce, and although I have never been divorced, husband and I have been separated, and so I can understand some of the difficulties that occur right before you make that decision. And I also just feel like these individuals were married, and so obviously as a married woman I can completely relate. And then just being a mother and trying to maintain friendships, and oh, it's just so good. It's so comforting, it's cozy, it's good, it's easy to process, it's easy to digest. It's exactly what you want to read in the summer. It's not too heavy. Her books do have a little bit more than just romance, so oh, I can tell you right now, the summer will not end and I have not read this book. Question number 4, the most anticipated release for the second half of the year. So I have 2. So at the beginning of the year, I started this journal, which I am not doing good with, but I have gotten better recently, but baby, we'll talk about that in another vlog. But anyway, second half of my year, there's only 2 books that I have written down. July, a book called Liars by Sarah Manguso, I think that's how you say it. Sounds so good, cannot wait to read it. Then I found out that Matt Haig, the author of The Midnight Library, is coming out with a new book, The Life Impossible, in September, so I definitely want to pick that up. And then my boxes are completely empty for August, October, November, and December, so I just wanted to leave room to see what else was coming out. I did, however, find out that Sally Rooney is dropping a new book, I think in September or October. Cannot wait. I read Beautiful World, Where Are You? And I loved it. It was weird and quirky and wild, but the writing style was just so epic and so beautiful and so easy to get tangled up in. So I'm ready for another Sally Rooney book, and I will be grabbing that one as soon as it comes out. Question number 5, the biggest disappointment so far this year. It has to be Two Wrongs Make a Right. I don't even have a physical copy anymore. I already gave it to the the Free Little Library. I thought that I was going to love this book, eat this book up, love that it has representation of an individual that has anxiety. The girl has autism, so neurodiverse rep. It's a little romance book, but it just didn't do it for me. I was not invested in their love story. However, I was excited to see them win, to see them be together. I do think that they are a good fit. I just didn't like how the story was being told. I didn't really care about a lot of the side characters. The book is wildly spicy. Baby, this is the spiciest book that I have read so far this year. Guarantee. Sis, the author, can't even think of the name right now. She loves to write a little nasty scene, let me tell you. These scenes were long, they were graphic, and it was multiple scenes like that. So if you do not like spice, you will not like this book. If you like spice and romance, it might work for you. Like if you're just invested in main characters, not really a lot of other stuff going on, and that's what I think the book lacked. It was just the focus on them, which is fine, but I guess that's why I couldn't completely buy into the book, but I was rooting for them in their love story, so I gave it 2 stars. I'm glad I just finally read it and got it up off my TBR. I can't say that the book was funny, and those spicy scenes were spicing, but other than that, it was just a major disappointment for me. The other book that was wildly disappointing was The List. So I got this book from the library and I was very excited about it. It has the synopsis and the makings of a really good book. There's basically some list that goes out, and the woman ends up finding out her husband's name is on that list. And I'm like, wow, this is about to be intense, okay? But I just feel like the tension was there in the beginning and it was so good. And then the tension just falls off and it never comes back until the end of the book. It's very predictable. The writing style isn't all that grand. There isn't anything else going on in the story that keeps you invested. So I feel like if the tension could have maintained a little bit longer, the book would have been a lot better. The last chapter was lit though. There was an epic plot twist at the end, literally the last chapter. And I'm like, not the last chapter being my favorite chapter of the book. So I had high hopes for it, but it was just a complete disappointment for me, and that's okay. Maybe you'll read it, or maybe you did read it and you absolutely loved it, but it just did not work for me. Number 6, woo, cannot wait to talk about this book. This is the book that I was saying is right up there with This Could Be Us as far as being one of the best books that I've read this year. I'm pretty sure that it is. This is definitely one of the best books I read as far as writing style and flow and content and context. It's epic. It's so good. I just felt so seen, and I've never had that experience like I did with any book that I did with This Could Be Us. And so I love this book for totally, completely different reasons, and it is All Fours by Miranda July. I will read anything now that she puts out, okay? Because the book was so good. It was wild. It was weird. It was funny. It was deranged. It was chaotic. It was sexy. It was empowering. It was uplifting. It was enlightening. I mean, I could go on and on. The book was so good. I was going to buy the physical copy, but then Libby had the audacity to have it available. So I had to listen, and she narrates it. You are so invested in this story, and she is doing such a good job of telling her story and reading it. I went and found her on Instagram, and I was just in awe. Like, there's no way that this stuff really happens. So our main character is going on a road trip. She's supposed to be going to New York, but she ends up 30 minutes from home, and she ends up having an affair with a guy that works for Hertz. That's all that I can say. That's more than enough, but the story is so much more than that. She is so relatable. She's so daring in her writing style and what she chooses to share and how she chooses to share it. There were some very weird scenes, but they were written in a way, and they were able to get you to expand your mind in a way that they were absolutely beautiful. Okay, like, I know I read reviews and some people was like, oh, it's so sick. And granted, it was sick and weird, but it worked for me. It was so good. I am still thinking about that book, and I really hope that she writes something else. So you can tell that it's definitely a fiction book. However, it's very much loosely based on her life. I really can't go that much into it because I don't want to spoil it. I really enjoyed that book. I love the ride, and I will be ordering a physical copy because I need that one on the bookshelf as like a trophy. It was just so dang on good, and that's why it was the number 6 question, which I probably didn't say yet, is the biggest surprise. I did not expect to enjoy that book the way that I did. I did not expect to relate to the book as much as I did. I did not expect to feel so enamored and empowered and just seen even, you know, even though I'm not necessarily at a certain phase of life. She's talking about like, menopause, like premenopause, and a lot of people don't talk about that kind of stuff. And so I thought she was very brave and relatable to share this, and I'm simply in awe of the writing style. So that's why I said I could just do a whole review on that book. It was just that good, and that's why it's the biggest surprise. I had no idea that I would love that book as much as I did. Okay, so number 7, your favorite new author, debut or new to you. Obviously Miranda July. Definitely can't wait for her to drop something else. I cannot wait to read it. The next one would have to be Brittany Cherry. I can't say that she's a favorite, but I really enjoyed the mixtape, and I did just download The Disgrace. I'll pop a picture. I can't remember if it's The Disgrace or just Disgrace, but I do want to read another book by her to see if she is an author that I would enjoy to continuously read more romance books by her. And then thirdly, it'd have to be Abby Jimenez. I really enjoyed Just for the Summer, and now I cannot wait to go back and read Part of Your World and Yours Truly. Again, I can't say that she is a favorite. She definitely sparked my interest in Just for the Summer, and I can't wait to read more books by her. But I can say that just off reading Beautiful World, Where Are You? I do feel like Sally Rooney could be one of my favorite authors. I don't know why. We will see. That's why I need to read another book and see. But as of now, I rock with her writing style, and I really enjoyed that book. And so these are the authors right now. Like I said, they're not favorites. I really enjoyed the books that I've read by them this year, and I cannot wait to read more books by these authors. Okay, so number 8, your newest fictional crush. Easy. August. He's bae, okay? He's Prince Charming, he's diligent, he's all the things you want in a man. He's good looking, he's tall, he plays basketball, he's rich, he has morals, he has character, he has integrity, he knows how to fight what he wants to fight for, he's gentle when he needs to be. Honey, what else do I need to say? Other book boyfriend? Not gonna lie. It has to be Justin from Just for the Summer. He was giving bae. He was also very tender, very kind, very mature, emotionally stable. It was just so much about his character that was just so reassuring and so calming and so sexy. And yeah, now the more that I'm talking about him, he's definitely number 2 on the list of book boyfriends for 2024. Number 9, newest favorite character. Easy. Eleanor Oliphant. This is my girl. Don't let me hear you say anything bad about Eleanor Oliphant. I love her. She had a very tough childhood and she's extremely awkward and she's so funny. I love people that are funny without trying. Like my son is like that. She kind of reminds me of Mikey a little bit in the sense that like he's so funny and he's not trying to be. It's just who he is, and sometimes he can be a little socially awkward. This is also one of the best books that I've read so far this year. Now do you see what I mean when I said I read some bangers? Like this book is definitely one of the top 5. I absolutely loved going down the journey with Eleanor as she was able to find a really good friend and morph out of her own little social bubble and just start to communicate with people and experience life and explore, even just see how real love felt. She was finally able to be loved in a way that was healthy and needed for her, and she was able to combat negative voices and start to heal. I could definitely read this book again. She's definitely my favorite character because I love to see people win, and she really started from the bottom, baby, and now she's here. As far as her healing journey, I love her. I hope she's doing well, and I definitely miss her, and I hope that her and Raymond are still just like the best of friends. Number 10, a book that made you cry. This book has my second favorite character, and it is A Love Song for Ricky Wilde by Tia Williams. I adore Miss Della, okay? I love her. She has my entire heart. This book had me sobbing. If you are new here and you did not see that vlog, I will link it. I was cutting up, okay? Cutting up. And I wanted to take my time with it. Look at all of these annotations. I mean, this book was so good. And I know that this book did not work for everyone, and I understand why. It almost didn't work for me, but because it had that element of our main character finally being loved well, I am always a sucker for that. It was so beautiful to see Ricky and Miss Della cross paths and just to see their journey together and to see how their story unfolds. So I was more invested in the storyline with her and Miss Della, not necessarily her and our main character, the guy. What is his name? I don't remember his name. Let me see. It might be Ezra. I think it's Ezra. Let me see. Ezra. It is Ezra. Okay, so yes, I enjoyed the journey with them as well, but the true story, the meat to me, it was the journey with Ricky and Miss Della. So this book had me sobbing, okay? Number 11, a book that made you happy. So that is gonna have to go to Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I don't have the physical copy right now because I loved it so much. I let my friend borrow it. I'm like, you need to read this book. You have to read this book. Just take care of my baby. When I get my books out, I'm like, woo, do not send my book back all banged and beat up. I feel like I need a second copy to let other people see, but it's fine. I trust her and I cannot wait for her to read the book. It made me so happy. It made me smile, and I just felt so giddy while reading it. Like I said, I loved Justin. I love the relationship between our main character and her best friend. I loved their job. I loved the summer vibes, and I was in a really bad space mentally right before I read the book, and I was really looking for a book just like that to make me feel good and just happy and fluffy, and it did exactly what it was supposed to do. It understood the assignment, and so that's definitely the book that has made me the happiest while reading this year. Number 12, the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. Easy. It has to be Real Americans by Rachel Wong. Hope that's how you say the last name. It's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. Anytime a book has gold on it, I'm just like obsessed anyway. And then these edges, baby, stop playing with me. This book is absolutely beautiful. Oh, and I love the burgundy hardcover. It's just, I love it. I think this has to be the prettiest book indeed that I have bought so far this year. And the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? Very first book that comes to mind is Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney. Like I said, I really enjoy Beautiful World, Where Are You? And I really want to read another book by her, especially since she has a new book coming out. I think that's going to be my second book by her, so I have to read that book no matter what before the end of the year. I also really want to read The Rom-Commers by by Catherine Center. I love her writing style. Although I've only read one book of hers, I fell in love with the writing style and the way that she tells stories. She adds an extra layer that I'm looking for in my romance books, and so I cannot wait to read that book. And moving on to the ones that I have here physically, I have a Big Swiss. This book I think I've had now since the beginning of the year. I need to read it. I just feel like I'm gonna have a good time. It's gonna have me cracking up. I am ready to devour this, so I will read this before the end of the year. Next we have the third book to the Beartown series. I have to read it this year because I don't want to wait. I realize when you wait too far out to finish a series, you sometimes forget stuff. It's better if I just go ahead and knock it out this year. So I definitely want to get to the third and final book of the Beartown series, which is The Winners. Next up, we have Kristen Hanna's The Nightingale. It doesn't necessarily have to be this book, but I really want to read a book by this author. I have to read a book by her before the end of the year because I've heard so many good things about her. I really enjoy historical fiction, and I have 2 of her books on my shelf, and I'm really interested to read The Woman. I mean, it's making top 5 lists for everybody, big editors and Amazon and everyone this year. So I'm like, ooh, it's time for me to get up in her writing. So before the year ends, I will read my first Kristen Hanna book. And last but not least, we have Good Material by Dolly Alderton, and I cannot wait to get into this one. I think it's going to be a good time, but I really don't know. I've heard a lot of good things about this author. I just want to see if her writing style and her books are going to work for me. I heard really good things about her memoir, but I just don't want to start there first. I'm like, let me start with her fiction books first. If I fall in love with her fiction book, I'll probably just know I'll enjoy the memoir. So before the end of the year ends, I will read this book. Woo! That was a lot of books to discuss, but it was a good time. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I love hanging out with you guys. Let me know of any book recommendations or let me know what you're reading, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!